Good day everyone. Today we are going to tackle about lesson 10, which is the sex and senses. Before we enter primary school, we were taught by our parents that we have five bodily organs that corresponds to our primary senses, which were used to discover, explore, and experience the world around us. So, these bodily organs are the eyes, nose, tongue, skin, muscles, and the joints. So, first we have the sense of sight. So, our eyes enables our sense of sight so that we are able to see a visual stimuli in the environment such as the color, size, and the shape. So, in sense of smell, we have nose enables our sense of smell so that we're able to experience scents, while the ears allows us to sense of hearing so that we're able to experience sounds of varying tones, pitch, and volume. So, in sense of taste, we have tongue. Tongue is covered with the taste buds that allow us sense of taste so that we are able to experience the taste like the sweetness, saltness, and the bitterness of our food and the objects we put in our mouth. Then we have the sensory reception in our skin, muscles and joints, which allows us to sense of touch or feeling so that we are able to have tactile experiences like heat or its absence, various texture, and various physical pressure. So these five senses comprise our sensorium. Sensorium is the totality of our sensory experiences and perception. When we receive information from our environment through the senses. So our brain has the ability to organize and interpret those numerous stimuli into meaningful ideas that are useful for our choices and useful also for our behaviors. So let us proceed to the human effect of the senses. So interestingly, while human beings are hailed as rational beings who are constantly making choices and are behaving through a set of rational choices made from higher order thinking such as evaluating, judging, and many more. So it is hypothesized that our effects such as emotions and feelings are actually play a major role in our behaviors. So let us know the affective primary hypothesis by Robert Zadchung in year 1980. So this is postulated by Robert in 1980. He stated that in many cases, cognitive processing plays a lesser role compared to our emotional responses and eliciting behavior. As a result of this study or this theory, our emotions take precedence by nature, owing to the fact that the limbic system is the only one that processes and modulates them. So, what is limbic system? When we said limbic system, it is the emotional part of our brain which is more primitive compared to the ones responsible for higher order thinking. This is where the sensorium and the human effect leads. Here it will help us to think of a particular case. We have also here the three primary emotional responses. We have the fight, flight, and freeze. When we said fight response, it is when we face adverse or dangerous stimuli squarely This would mean grabbing the nearest solid object in the environment and throwing it to the state to show the snake away. So, when we said the fight response, it is when we move away from the adverse or dangerous stability. This would mean running away from the place, finding a new route where the state cannot find you. On the other hand, the freeze is when you are startled and are unable to make a choice, thus are unable to move. So, in all three emotional response, there is a requirement. We should be able to sense the environment, organize the s- stamina, receive and interpret this stimuli. So we can make a choice and corresponding action. We will not be able to arrive at the behavior if not through our senses. This makes our sensorium a necessary component of the emotional response arc. Next is we have the senses and the sexuality. So having provided an overview on how affect the sensorium and the brain's limbic system coordinate, we are now going to discuss the various senses play in the human sexual responses. First is we have the visual experiences. What do we mean about visual experience? So humans are predominantly visual. Our societies highly rely in visual culture to co-create meaning and convey information. So visual culture is an essential element of our society. So why it is so? So it is really essential element in our society because our visual helps us to know the different things around us. Visual help us to keep updated, especially nowadays where there are a lot of things happening, not even in the society, but also around the world. So, human sexuality, it is gender differences, is visual stimuli, and sexual arousal. So, according to Rupp and Wallen, year 2007, found that men respond more to visual sexual stimuli and tend to be influenced by the sex of the actors in a sexual scenario. So, this means that men are more aggressive sexually, that even just watching some porn or sex tapes, they become aroused on what they see even when it's on a tape. So women are found to be more influenced by context, although they too are responsive to the sexual content of a visual stimuli. It is also means that some women is more on reading. For example is the Wattpad that have context about SPG. Also means that when confronted by an intimate interaction, women tend to be rather influenced by the nature of relationship they have with another person. So, women and men differ in strategies of viewing sexual stimuli. Women tend to pay more attention to contextual and non-sexual cues than me, according to Lan and Everard 1995, and those putting prime on subjective working circumstances. Olfactory experience. It is relating to smell or the sense of smell. Olfaction is non-human animals which are believed to be macromatic, macrosmatic organism having greater sense of smell. So these have been interest among psychologists since 1950s. On the other hand, humans and apes are generally believed to be macrosmatic or the laser levels of olfaction compared to their non-apes counterparts. So however, recent studies in the field of human sexuality shows that While we humans have limited affections, then sense of smell may play an important part in our sexual response. So, a study of Mascarella, Arantes, and Conisol, year 2011, explored on the preferred scent among heterosexual and homosexual males and females. So, this study found that heterosexual females who participated in their study tend to like wearing floral sweet scent but wanted to have musky spicy scent to be worn by their partners. And heterosexual males and homosexual females wanted to have musky spicy scent on themselves, unlike their parents, were floral sweet scent. On the other hand, homosexual males wanted musky spicy for themselves and also for their partners. So, how human olfaction influence sexuality? So, first, through what is referred to as signature odor. It is the unique way that each individual smells, which is associated with major histocompatibility complex or a set of proteins signaling our immune system to presence of foreign substances. Second is through what is referred to as pheromones, substances putatively excreted by our glands, which signals mood and affects social behaviors. So, one of the famous studies about MHCs is the Sweetie T-shirt experiment, according to Widikind and Fury, 1997, and Widikind et al. 1995. So, in early 1930s, an entomologist, Bate 1932, suggested that there are hormones emitted outwards that also called as ectohormones. In the 1970s, the McClintock effect, 1971, or menstrual synchrony, the observation that females in the same dormitory usually would have their menstruation at nearly the same time. So, what do scientists think human pheromones do? First, it is thought to act as attractants or the opposite sex, repellent or the same sex, stabilizer of mother, infant, bond, and modulators of menstrual cycle, according to Cutler 1999. So, chemicals thought to be human hormones are first, the androstenedione, or it has a testosterone-like substance found in males with saliva and urine. Next is the estradiol, or ESD, and ester estrogen like found in female urine. And lastly is the ipyrolin, or hyperlink acceptance found in human semen, pubic sweat, and its magma. So let's move on to tactile experiences. One of the sensations are received as an element of intimacy of our body. So as a sensation, touch has some elements. So tactile elements pertains experience relative to the object being felt, and it is rough, smooth, or soft, rather called thermal elements. So on the other hand, human body also have different threshold of tactile experiences. So areas such as the mouth, anals, genitals, and nipples are referred to as primary erogenous zone called a sensitive touch. So the back, cheek, neck, and buttocks are secondary original zones, also sensitive touch, but the body involved in the reproductive rather and sexual act. So, an intimate relationships, it is suggested to be one of the love language, a person whose love language is touch, to tend to give and receive tactile stimulation to and from others through holding, hugging, and other forms of physical connections. So lastly is the auditory experience. Social interactions are not only visuals but also auditory processes. When we said auditory processing, it is the ability to interpret the sounds that one has heard. In central auditory processing, the brain must identify the incoming sounds and make a analysis of those sounds and attach meaning to them. So, so sexual activities are also a verbal communications process. Sounds give additional context to sexual situations. In sexual interactions, couples may give verbal erotic encourage, so words that trigger sexual responses or verbal expression of affections. So words that manifest feelings like the I love you, the I miss you, so that will be the in auditory processing. So a survey of popular music will show that love and sex are among the common themes of song nowadays. So this only emphasize the value of sound in human sexuality.
That would be the discussion about Lesson 10, the sex and senses. Thank you.